All right, maybe you or your kids or your grandkids have that popular app called TikTok on their phone. Well, it's come under a lot of fire for its connections to China and because of our concerns about national security. Now, Microsoft may be riding to the rescue after the president said he's going to ban the platform in the U.S. They say that they're going to buy the firm. Will it be enough to placate the critics in the government? For more on this, let's bring in economic and political commentator Trish Regan. Trish, welcome back to the show.
Good to see you, Sean. Good to see you, Lindsay.
Good to see you, Trish. Got to ask you first. I know you have kids. Do they have TikTok? Have you had to deal with this? I know people were freaking out on Friday night when the president announced he was likely going to ban it.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no TikTok in my house.
Good for you.
I did go on it myself just to see what it was because they were talking about how all their friends were sharing these videos on TikTok. And let's just say I was not impressed. Perhaps I'm not their target demo, but I was not a fan. And that was aside from the fact that it was a Chinese company. I mean, I think it's a real concern that the Chinese are possibly stealing Americans' data. I mean, they don't play by the same rules, shall we say, that other friends that we trade with do play by. And so these are vulnerabilities that could be very much exposed, and we have to think about this. This is the reason why, for example, India banned TikTok as well as roughly 59 other social media apps because of concerns that data was being gathered and could possibly be used against that population. So I think it's a real concern, and I think the president is right to address it. It looks like the Chinese may walk off, though, with tens of billions of dollars before it's all said and done, because they may just sell this thing.
Yeah, you're right. And there is a huge concern. We've even had Mike Pompeo come out and his concerns. We've talked about it many times on this show. But it seems like the president might be giving Microsoft a pass if they acquire it. They said that they will acquire it by September 15th. But my question to you, Trish, is why not just ban it in the meantime? Because who knows if Microsoft actually can harness this thing and protect user data like they think they can.
Yeah, there's a lag time there, and they've already been accumulating this data, right, Lindsay? And so even if Microsoft takes over the U.S. assets, we still have some vulnerabilities there. And I was speaking with one market watcher the other day who said, it just isn't fair. Like fundamentally, it's not fair because either way, China wins. ByteDance either walks off, that's the parent company of TikTok, with tens of billions of dollars, or they're able to just steal everybody's information. Either way, we lose. And so why don't we have a system that actually guards against this earlier, that maybe says, okay, China, for once and for all, like if you guys don't play by the rules, if you're not, a trade partner that we can trust, we're not going to allow you to have these companies here. I mean, they wouldn't allow us to have them there.
They don't. Yeah, that's exactly that point that you made is so perfect because they require U.S. companies over there to have a percentage of Chinese ownership. They would not allow us to operate the way they do in our country. We give them complete unfettered access to our market, and they don't do the same for us. The ACLU, Trish, came out and said that the president's action were banning free speech. And I replied to them and said, no. When we are actually, when they propose a threat to our freedom and to our national security, that is paramount. Their priorities are backwards. More people are concerned about them as a platform. And frankly, this isn't Twitter where you're having political dialogue. This is people putting cute cat videos and dances on there. This is not what we need to be focused on right now. The ACLU has their priorities backwards.
Well, and not to mention, Twitter's an American company. This is a Chinese company. So fundamentally, therein lies the problem, right? You're exposing America's youth who are on this platform to all the vulnerabilities of potentially having China steal their data and their information to understand the footprint of who they are and to try and manipulate them down the road. In fact, there's evidence they may have already been manipulating people to try and, basically stir the pot regarding all this defund the police stuff. So I think that it's a different kind of situation. And unfortunately, the ACLU, they don't have a profit motive here. I think they have a political motive, but not a profit motive. But too often you see that we're kind of willing to just let things slide, right? Because it works for the quarterly revenues. And you can't keep doing that because at some point you have to think about national interest. China's thinking about their national interest. We need to think about ours.
Yeah, that's a great point, Trish. You know, one of the things that I think about, you talk about this political aspect of it, is how this will actually affect the election. When people like the ACLU are coming out saying, you know, hey, this is jeopardizing our free speech. We've seen this with Twitter as well, what happened recently. But, you know, people are so upset with Trump, and they say if, you know, Microsoft can acquire TikTok and President Trump still bans it, then this shows that it's just because he's upset with them and it actually has no play and there's really no concern. If he does ban it and they do acquire it, do you think that that will have an effect?
You know, if he bans it and they acquire it, then that was kind of a lousy investment now, wasn't it? I mean, I think, again, fundamentally, it's coming down to why are we rewarding a Chinese company that is capitalizing off of us while not simultaneously allowing our social media companies to capitalize off the Chinese? And I don't mean capitalize in the sense that they would manipulate or use data. Certainly American companies wouldn't, to try and harm anyone. But in other words, there's a reciprocity here that needs to take place. And if this is our trade partner and we're going to do business with them and they're going to make tens of billions of dollars off the sale of this social media app to an American company, then why can't that American company operate its own social media app in China? You know, there's a lot sort of here beneath the surface that has nothing to do with freedom of speech.
I'm actually
more about commerce.
I'm also equally concerned that if they sell it, what kind of, you know, bugs and loopholes and backdoors that are in that app. So whether or not Microsoft owns it or not, China still has a back door into our technology, can look at everyone's information. That's the kind of thing that I think Microsoft immediately has to do an evaluation to make sure that just because they own it, that there aren't back doors that China has established to allow them to continue to peek into our privacy. This is a big problem. The other thing that Lindsay brought up, Trish, that I think is interesting is, remember when we had the whole discussion about vaping, and they recognized that that was going to have an impact on a lot of voters because these are the kind of, quote, Trump voters. I just wonder how many kids, yes, the majority of them are too young to vote, but would be able to say something to their parents like, hey, you're taking this app away from me. If a parent doesn't understand the national security threat that's posed by this, you know, are they influenced? There's a lot. I guess we'll see a lot more in the coming weeks, and we can continue this discussion because whether or not Microsoft buys it or not will have an impact on where this thing heads. We're out of time, but I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk about TikTok.
Unfortunately, now. Good to see you guys.
All right, good to see you. All right, when we come back, the president has been sounding off about this whole vote by mail and the potential for voter fraud. We're going to talk about that when we come back.